Ahoy there! Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another very special developer Q&A video for Eve Echoes. Now, if you watch my developer Q&A videos each week, you'll notice that things are a little bit different, and I'm inside the game this time. That's because we're actually going to come to the developer Q&A in just a short while. Today is August the 13th, which marks the birthday for Eve Echoes. It was launched on August 13th, 2020. We are now a full year in, which I'm just super stoked about. I can't believe the game has done so well. I know that it's had its problems and its rocky moments, but as far as I'm concerned, this has been one heck of a year, and the amount of content that has been added over that year is astronomical. If you look at what Eve Echoes had on launch and what it has now, and how that's ramped up, compared to what EVE Online had on launch and then had 5 years later. And yeah, I know that there's a certain blueprint that they can be following here, but it's a smaller team, and there's, it's not just a copy-paste kind of thing. I think Eve Echoes has just been an absolutely phenomenal first year, and I can't wait for, more of that. In addition to that as well, it's also the first birthday of the Catskull Cartel, because we were the 13th, fittingly enough, on the 13th of August, the 13th corporation ever to be founded in Eve Echoes. We have the corporation tag of 1, followed by all the zeros, and 1-2 at the end, which makes us the 13th corporation. And what a year it has been for Catskull. We started off loading up in N7BIY in Innsmother. We then found ourselves having daily raids by several Chinese corporations coming in from the Great Wildlands. Along with the fact that we discovered that bases and how they level up ratting systems, etc., meant that N7BIY was not a great station to be based out of, so we very swiftly relocated down to P745V in Cache. We were there, had an awesome time for that first week, and then suddenly got invaded by the Golden Horde. I remember I was undocked, I was just sort of drifting outside our station, and suddenly 100 people appeared in local, warped to my position, and blapped my slasher 2 into space dust. And then we sat down at the table, and the guys in the Golden Horde were like, oh look, we'd love to have you around. This is going to be our station, but if you want to join us, 100% you guys can be founding members. And we did. And we had a great time with the Golden Horde. We developed Cache into a pretty cool region of space. We made a lot of friends there at that point in time. Again, not without its issues. We found that Catskull wanted to do things one way, and the Golden Horde had sort of another idea and a direction they seemed to want to go in. So we made the decision that it would be better for all of us if Catskull left on amicable terms, stayed friends with the Golden Horde, but went off and did our own thing. The example I gave was, if you're on a bus or you're in a taxi or something, and it's going one direction and you're the only person in the car who wants it to be going a different way, it's better to get out and find another taxi and force everyone else to fit your needs. So, we then up and moved off to Wicked Creek, our third move in almost as many months, and we based ourselves out of Wicked Creek for a bit of time, quite enjoyed the ratting and the piracy around that area. We had a couple of other local corps nearby. We actually absorbed a couple of the ones that were nearby, and they've become very good friends of ours now. We had a bit of diplomatic issues with, I think it was OG Empire at the time, who then basically we decided that, look, we can't be bothered with all this drama, and we joined our old friends in Void and Dark Null, and moved back into Innsmother, sort of an ancestral home, it felt at that point, because Catskull had been based in and around Innsmother during like the open beta test and the final test. We'd known Innsmother as home, and it's great to sort of be back there now. And there we are now, a year later, part of Void Alliance, doing our thing, having a great time. I know some people don't like it when I talk about Void, but you know what, to me, it's a huge part of the game for me. This alliance, this federation, has made the game worth playing for me. The way that Pied Piper set this up, the way that Sarpedon and the other executors now all run it, to me, it exemplifies everything I wanted out of an alliance and a corporation. It's designed there in helping players find content and have fun together, unifying together to achieve something bigger than the sum of all of our parts. And that's our first year, and I just can't wait to see what's coming on in the rest. And I know what you're thinking, Benzie, you're rambling on here. Let's get into the meat of this video. Why have you logged into the game for a developer Q&A? And that's because today, being the birthday, under events, we now have the lucky ticket. So if we go to anniversary celebration and then down to the lucky capsuleer draw, you now have this actually available. We now know what the lucky tickets all do. If you're not sure what lucky tickets are, let's come back out a second and go into the store. And if we come from the store, when it loads in, takes a moment, to the anniversary shop, in amongst all these skins and nanocores and free skill points and things like that, we have the lucky capsuleer tickets. These cost 200 tokens each, and are sort of an interesting way to get rid of any of the anniversary coins that you don't want if you've accrued a ton of these and you've kind of gone through everything else on this list that you may want. If you've got the skins for the ships you want, if you've got the nanocores and things like that, and you've got a load of these coins left over, the anniversary tokens, then you can spend them on lucky capsuleer tickets. And again, if you're now asking, well, hang on, Benzie, what on earth are these anniversary tokens? Well, these come as part of the anniversary event. We will be getting these as part of the battle pass, and part of the server-wide version of that. And you'll just earn these tokens that way. Also, if you are doing any of those era mega rifts or era small rifts, those era rifts that keep popping up absolutely everywhere and are a scanner's worst nightmare, they give you a whole ton of these anniversary tokens, and that's a great way that you can grind these out and earn a whole ton of them. So once you've got some anniversary tokens and you've bought some lucky capsuleer tickets, you come across into the event section, you go into anniversary celebration. If we look along the anniversary pass here, you'll see there are coins in some of these. This is an alt, so yeah, I've not done much of this on this particular character. You can see there's anniversary tokens there, 1200 anniversary tokens at level 5. Server rewards, I think, had some as well, if I recall. I could be wrong. Let's load in and check. Yeah, there we are, 501 on the second level of that. But then if we come to the capsuleer, the lucky capsuleer draw, you'll see that this then it's kind of a roulette wheel. Now, if you're familiar with mobile gaming, you've probably seen this a lot in others. It gets used in PUBG and COD Mobile a lot. Basically, you have the ability to spend tickets to spin the wheel. And the wheel comes with all kinds of different prizes. Again, there's anniversary tokens on here, 500 and 1,500. There are some skin crates, insurance points, integrated module supply, which is a pretty cool one to get, and some skill points here. There's 10,000 and 200,000 skill points. And all you need to do is you tap on draw, and it will spin around, and it will randomly select you one of these here. What do we get? Here we got a nanocore supply box. Do note that if you want to get this, you are going to have to go into that little bit there and then claim all, and it will drop it at your local station. Now here you can see I haven't been grinding all that much. I've only now got 3 tickets. There are 4 required for the second draw. It does increase every time. On my Captain Benzie character, I think I'm at the 4th one of these, and I think the 3rd one cost me 8, so I assume it doubles every time, which is pretty steep. And if you get one that you really, really want and you're looking at that wheel and saying to yourself, I really don't like anything else on here, you can completely reset that wheel as well, and you'll be able to start earning the other ones that you've already got, whether you wait until you've completed the wheel, then reset it if you're going to do it that way, or whether you do it, you know, you've got the pieces that you want. If all you really wanted was that 200,000 skill points and you're lucky enough to get it first time, you can reset the wheel and roll again from there. Now, again, I get that this is sort of, I want to say that I get that this is sort of gambling. If you go to purchase here, you can use Plex to buy the tickets. I really don't recommend it. Just go and get the, grind the era rifts, do the missions here on the anniversary pass, and you'll get a whole ton of those as well that way. It's pretty cool. I'm never a huge fan of these roulette wheels, and that, to me, it always feels like my luck just never quite works. But then, as much as I dislike it, other people will sit there and go, this is awesome, I used 2 tickets and I got the 200,000 skill points on my very first try. So it's kind of hit and miss, and I like the fact that this is tied to those in-game era rifts. So if you're wondering what those era rifts are for, scan them down, jump in with some friends, earn a load of the coins, use those to grab the lucky capsuleer tickets, and away you go there. Anyway, I think I have rambled on about the birthday celebrations and all that entirely enough at this point. Let's jump out of the game and have a look at this week's developer Q&A. For those of you who don't know, each week the developers of Eve Echoes take 4 questions that have been posed by the community, reply to them, and then post that response onto the Eve Echoes official Twitter account at Eve Echoes. Now, I know that not everyone has a Twitter account or wants a Twitter account, so each week I go through these 4 questions, and I give my opinions and my thoughts on them as well. It's a great way to sort of help keep up to date with what is coming to Eve Echoes at some point in the future, and maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you've got a question yourself that you would like to see answered, you can go onto the Eve Echoes official community Discord and into the suggestions channel, or there is a link in the description below that will take you through to a Google document where you can pose those questions. And if your question is chosen to be responded to, you will win a month of Omega. So let's jump right in. This is the developer Q&A for the week of the 4th of August through to the 10th of August. The first question: can you add the possibility for FC, which is Fleet Commander, to tax the fleet members an hourly ISK rate? It would be good for ratting fleet or mining fleet to give the FC some sort of reward. Also, with a possible upcoming dedicated mining booster ship, then the tax would also cover the fuel costs. I'm just gonna pause here. This is like paying your raid leader in World of Warcraft, or, no, I am so heavily against this. The advantage of being an FC is that you are always in the fleet, and people always come to you to be a part of that. You don't have everyone pay to be part. This makes me think of like those streamers who get their mods to pay them for the privilege of modding? You want me to pay the FC for the privilege of being part of his fleet? Screw that, I'm just going to go and start my own fleet. No, this sounds like an FC who is tired of always being the FC, and therefore wants people to pay him for the privilege? Sorry, I am massively against this. Let's see what Lansdot says. Given the fact that many pilots may be reluctant to give out their money, yeah, a little bit, we will not produce this tax feature in the near future because it will only serve few players. Damn straight. In this case, we recommend using the withdrawal feature of the corporation hangar to reward the FC. You could set up a rule, such as every time someone serves as the FC, he'll be rewarded a certain amount of ISK. This system already exists in the game. You can donate ISK to people. You can give them more of the stuff. Like if you have a mining fleet in your FC, like here they say that whole thing, the possible upcoming dedicated mining booster ship. What they mean there is things like the Porpoise and the Rorqual, these kind of ships that might use command bursts to help miners. Yeah, you would hand them all the ores, they then process it and maybe get a bigger cut of it. If they're a FC in like a combat anomaly, they're already getting the ISK, they're probably already getting a share of the loot, and they've got a dedicated place in that. It's like saying, oh, I'm the healer so I deserve more loot, or I'm the tank so I deserve more loot. No, you don't. If you're leading, you don't deserve more. Leaders lead as part of the group. A leader is there with the rest of the group pushing forward, not sitting at the back whipping the other people, which is what this insinuates. That is, no, I'm 100% with Lansdot on there. And if you want to find ways to reward your FCs, that's fine. But any FC who thinks that they should be able to claim a tax for the for the ability, no, we're going to move on. We're going to move on because that's making me angry, Benzie, and I don't want to spend an entire video ranting about that. Are there plans to make industrial nanomaterials more easily acquired like the combat one? Currently the nano boxes have way more chances for combat material than industrial. Reagan responds, you can now obtain industrial nanocore materials from the supply boxes exchanged at the Concord Pass shop. In the future we would also make them available in more different ways. Yeah, I kind of get this, and I'm kind of all for it. I would like to see, as a thought of this one, Nihilus mining belts, I forget what they're called now, compressed belts, Nihilus compressed belts. I would love to see those, like when you're mining you get a chance of ancient remains dropping, them having a chance of dropping nanocore materials in Nihilus compressed belts. To me, that would be a really cool way of rewarding miners for actually going in and using those, because when you run the maths of things at the moment, from what I gather, the Nihilus Dead Space module, the one that you put onto a Capsulator outpost that spawns Nihilus Dead Spaces, is pretty good. It's expensive, but it earns its money back, eventually. The mining ones just don't seem to be nearly as good, and thus having a way to help you upgrade your mining materials by doing those, to me, that would be awesome. I don't know. I'm not an industrialist. I speak to a lot of industrialists, but I'm not a miner. If you're a miner and you think that would work and incentivize you to do Nihilus compressed space more, then let me know. Let the devs know. I personally think that would be a really cool incentive to get people into those compressed belts and doing those rather than just sitting in the standard belts all day. Yeah, there's the risk of it being, obviously it's an open nihilist, there are other people can jump in and PvP, but that's kind of the advantage. I don't know. That's my thought on that one. I am glad that they're looking into that, and they've said that yes, on this current Concord Pass there are crates that you can buy with Concord credits and that contain those. But having a bit of a more direct way of doing it, yeah, I'm all for. A bit of a more in-game way of doing it, I'm all for, and I think that would work. Let me know your thoughts. Question number 3. Oh, this is the doozy. This actually came up in my Discord recently, so I've kind of answered this already, but we'll answer it again here on video. What's the chances of crossovers with other universes such as 40k, that's Warhammer 40,000 by Games Workshop, Stargate, or Halo? I feel like this could work since Eve Echoes is an alternative universe and could make some great stories. Now, Exile says, we have already started talking with other games about crossovers. For more updates on this, please follow the latest news on our official website and Discord. Now, this to me is a very tricky question. Eve has its own lore. It's a big universe, it's got a lot of backstory and lore to it, which has then diverged a little bit with Eve Echoes. And the way that this was posed to me is that this being an alternative universe to EVE Online, we've got new different things happening, surely that means that maybe there could be all these other ways of these factions and that to come in. And there's a part of me that's kind of cool with this. I would love to have an Imperial Cobra frigate, sort of, you know, stuff like that from Warhammer 40,000, or, you know, the Infidel class destroyers and stuff from Battlefleet Gothic. I love Battlefleet Gothic, it's one of my favourite tabletop games ever, and I cannot wait for Games Workshop to eventually get around to doing that again. Stargate, I quite enjoyed as a series. Halo, I've never been a huge fan of, if I'm completely honest, but yeah, maybe, you know, having like a Nostromo, stuff like this from Alien or the Sulaco, featuring in EVE, there's a part of me that thinks that would be really cool. Then, another part of me comes into the back of my head and says, but hang on, the entire story of EVE, is literally that humanity came through this thing called the Eve Gate tens of thousands of years ago from our current universe, from the universe that you and I listening to this know. And we came through this gate into a new system, the Eve Gate. We came through into New Eden. Then that gate collapsed, and it shut New Eden away from the rest of humanity, and that caused a collapse in the empires. The Amar, the Minmatar, the Gallente, and the Kaldari all formed. They've developed their own history over that time, but a big part of what makes Eve special, a big part of the story, is that it is cut away from all other universes. It was sealed away. So if you do... This makes me think of Monster Hunter, when they did, like, The Witcher, and the recent Monster Hunter movie crossover as well in Iceborne and stuff like that, where, using The Witcher one as an example, Geralt of Rivia just jumps through a portal and appears in Monster Hunter. And to me, it's kind of cool, but it's also really jarring. And the fact that that would be so in the face of the current lore of EVE, in that it's, you know, it's an entirely sealed cluster. It's way away from other humanity, there is no way to contact it, it's locked away. The concept of opening a gate into another universe, if Warhammer 40,000 suddenly found a way to open a gate into Eve Echoes, to me that, it opens up so much, and I'm not sure that I like that. So I don't like the idea of a crossover where you are connecting the universes. To me, that doesn't work. To me, this is my personal opinion. As much as I love 40k, as much as I love franchises like Dead Space and Aliens and stuff like that, and, you know, would love to see those kind of ships, I don't think it works with EVE. On the other hand, I think doing skins and references, absolutely, that could be awesome. I think maybe having, you know, a skin that makes your Vexor look like the Needler gun from Halo, the Covenant Needler, paints it purple and gives it blue spines down the back, and thus being a crossover with Halo there, that would be awesome. I think that could be really cool. I think that anything that's not too intrusive, that's just sort of references and nods, that I'm all for. But anything that sort of connects the universes and brings them crashing together, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that, because like even at a basic level here, now crikey, I'm going to go way too deep into this, so I'm going to try and keep this brief. In Warhammer 40,000, warp technology is very different to in EVE. In EVE, you activate your warp drive and you jump from A to B. You want to go from a star to star, you go from star to star. In Warhammer 40,000, when you want your ship to go from A to B, there's a meme on this, but it is very, very accurate to the lore. Basically, your ship uses a tortured psyker and punches a hole into basically hell. That tortured psyker then puts a bubble around the ship and you fly through hell towards your destination whilst your ship is ravaged by all of the demons of the 4 Chaos Gods. As you go through the warp, you have all of these demons clawing at your hull. You get to the other side of it and the slaves that are powering the ship, half of them are dead and the other half have got insane from all the crazy stuff that they saw whilst floating through literal hell. They get to the other side, the captain then toasts a good voyage. It's insane. Warhammer 40,000 is a dark, dark universe, and to me that just doesn't cross over very well. I don't think having Warhammer 40,000 ships in EVE would work. I don't. I'm going too long on this one, that's my opinion, my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What kind of things would you like to see in a crossover, potentially, in the future? Do you think that ships would be awesome? Do you think that, like me, it should just be skins and things like that? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Final question then, why are only Tech 4 destroyers available for faction warfare instead of Fleet Issue or Navy Issue and Guardian? Will we see more than just the Tech 4 destroyers with better fittings than a PvP speed tank ship with a Higgs anchor when they're against tier 7 to 8 frigs? Yeah, I kind of know who's asked this question, and I do sort of agree with that. I think the Higgs anchor is a bit too much of a nerf, and yeah, I'm kind of confused as to why you've got Tech 8 interceptors, Tech 7 assault frigates, Tech 6 stealth bombers, and then Tech 4 destroyers. Like, even the Talwar, the Korax, the Dragoon, and the Assault, they're the Tech 4 variants. You could go for, like, the Talwar Assault at Tech level 7, 8? Whichever one that is. No, it's Tech level 7, isn't it? Talwar Assault is Tech level 7, because it's Talwar Commander 8. You could go for the 7s, you know, the Assaults at 7s, you could go for the Snipers at 6, and then you could go for, like, you know, the Thrasher, the Coercer, the Catalyst, and the Cormorant. Yeah, the Fleet Issue versions are at least Tech 5, and they've got much better stats, better lock-on times, things like that. They would actually serve a purpose in wargames. Now, I actually quite like the Dragoon in faction wargames. I think that is a really underrated ship. I actually also really like the Strike Cannon Thrasher. The range on it is really good, and it's got absolutely insane alpha damage. Like, if you're lucky, you can almost one-shot some of the enemy ships, at which point anyone else just happens to be nearby, finishes them off for you. It's a really cool ship, but absolutely, I think these should be the fleet issues at the very least, but also highlights another key point that, oh no, here goes Benzie again. Thrasher, Coercer, Cormorant, Catalyst. These are the turret destroyers, the gunboats as they're often referred to, in EVE Echoes, and they stop at Tech level 5. Yeah, okay, you get the Thrasher Interdictor, the Coercer Interdictor, that kind of thing. They're not DPS vessels, they've only got 2 high slots. They're absolutely atrocious now for anything other than just putting up a bubble and then dying for the luxury of it. At Tech level 10, we used to have the Covert Ops versions, which got removed and replaced with yet another Interdictor that I've never seen one. I have never seen a Interdictor 3. You know why? Because they are pointless. They are absolutely pointless. They do nothing that the Interdictor 2s don't already do. In fact, they don't really do anything the Interdictor 1s don't already do. Like, ooh, slight bit of extra fuel efficiency. You know, the bubble stays up a little bit longer. Oh, wow. If you've got good bubble placement and just a tank full of fuel, which these don't use that much fuel, you can keep going for hours. Who cares that you can go on a little bit longer if you're willing to spend a couple of 100 million extra for a Tech 3 variant? Get rid of the Tech 3 Interdictors. They are useless, netties. Please either give us the Covert Ops Destroyers back, or give us the Thrasher Fleet Issue 2, Thrasher 2 Fleet Issue, or the, you know, the Cormorant Tooth Fleet Issue. These need to happen at Tech 10. We need gunboats. There are no turret destroyers after Tech level 5 that are actually any decent in combat. And that hurts me. That hurts me. And you could have, like, a Thrasher 3 at Tech level 7, and that would be cool, and then have a Thrasher 2 Fleet Issue at Tech level 10. I just, oh, come on, make it happen. This proves my point here, really, with destroyers, I feel. that, yeah, they're just, destroyers aren't useless in EVE, they're really not. I've got a video coming along soon that is actually going to go over a lot of the balance issues I think currently exist in EVE in regards to small ships. I might expand that out into other ships and other areas as well, but I am working on a video for that. So yeah, stay tuned to the channel, make sure you are subscribed. And on the subject of other videos as well, just as while it's on my mind, I did actually sit down for a podcast recently with Sheev, and we had a great time talking about EVE and all kinds of stuff there. I'll put a link in the description down below. I do strongly recommend you go and check it out, not just because it's me talking, but because Sheev is a really awesome guy. We had a lot of fun doing that podcast, and I really think he deserves more attention than he's currently getting, so please make sure you check that out. Anyway, folks, those are our 4 questions here. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually give the response from Melos. We're looking to add more modes to faction wargames in the future. Other than bringing ships of various types and sizes into the gameplay, we're also exploring the possibility of allowing players to fly their own ships on the battlefield. For more updates, please follow us on Discord. So what we get there, first of all, other than bringing ships of various types and sizes into the gameplay, sizes being a key word, I know people were like, where are my cruisers? Yeah, it's a starter mode. This is just the frigates and destroyers because it's open to tech level 5 players, and if you're tech level 5, chances are you're pretty well trained into frigates or destroyers, and not so much into cruisers and battle cruisers because you can only start training cruiser skills at tech level 5. Anyway, the point here is that, yes, they're going to be opening up the cruisers, battle cruisers, maybe even battleships and capitals later on. This is just the first mode. Various types and sizes, so we're looking at different size categories, we're looking at different types in there as well. Could be some interesting game modes come up with that. Interesting to see the possibility of allowing players to fly their own ships on the battlefield. That's going to be an interesting one, because right now, if it's frigates and destroyers, it's going to be interceptors. It's just going to be interceptors, let's be honest. If you are doing anything other than interceptors, Tech 10 interceptors, yeah, this is a really cool idea, but I think it just needs a lot of balancing and a lot of working out first, and I will be talking with the developers as much as I can, trying to give my feedback and my thoughts on that. Anyway, that actually is the end of the video. We've now covered everything, all 4 of those questions. We've talked about the birthday events. Again, go check out Sheev's podcast. Link is in the description below. Great guy, deserves way more attention than he's currently getting, so go give him some love, share that out. And otherwise, folks, let the devs know your questions. Get into that Google document in the description. Ask your questions. If your question gets responded to, you do win a month of Omega. Thanks for watching right the way to the end, happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!